I am back with a new video which is going to review partly the very best e-bike kits that you can install on any bicycle, not just on the Brompton, not only on small wheel, but of course this is a small wheel channel, so I'm going to focus especially on the Brompton, Birdie, Moulton triad. And I'm going to start the video by giving you a bit of a brush up on the technologies that are being used to power bikes electrically. After that, I'm going to go on to 3 different kits. And finally, I'm going to say a few words about the shop and where the shop is at this point. So let's start out with the Bosch kit. This is not a kit included in the recommendations. This is definitely a top-level kit. It's made in Germany. It has its own controller, its own battery. It's a complete system, but this is not something you can buy separately and install on a bicycle. If you want a Bosch like this on your bike, then you're going to have to buy a frame that was designed and made to accommodate this kit. The bottom part where the bottom bracket would be located with the crank on a normal bicycle is missing, and it has to be custom designed and built to accommodate the Bosch. This is a great kit to have. They have impeccable record in terms of reliability, but the problem is partly it's not for DIY, so you cannot make your own bike, and also you cannot migrate the kit easily from one bike to another. If you mess up your frame, maybe if you can repurchase the same frame, you could install it, but even that would require specific specialty installation from the factory. So you are basically screwed. This is for people who are not really handy and they definitely don't want to do anything on their own. So this is a great out-of-the-box solution. But of course there are other problems with it because it is very restrictive. There's absolutely no way to tune this kit, although some companies are selling electronics, separate computers that can log into the Bosch computer and remove the speed limit or at least manipulate it. But it's really expensive and it's a hard thing to do. So I'm not going to review this. Let's go for the technical details first. I'm going to use a full-size bicycle to illustrate what we are talking about. Here are 3 different technologies that can power a bicycle using electricity typically. The first one, and the one that is most common, it is the one I am using, is what is called a hub motor. Now if you have a hub motor, you basically put the motor into the hub, as the name suggests. This means that every time you turn the wheel once, you have to turn the hub once as well. If you want to feel just how hard this is, I recommend that you put a couple of fingers in here, right next to the hub on your bicycle, and try to turn the wheel and feel how hard it is. It's hard because every turn has to be matched at the hub. Then there's another technology which is powering not the hub, but the bottom bracket. It turns the crank. So if you put it over here, turning the wheel once is not going to require 1 turn of the crank. If you look at the diameter of the crank, it's roughly, in this case, the diameter is probably 1/4 of the diameter of the big wheel. So you would have to turn this crank 4 times before you turn the wheel once. What does that mean? That means only 25% of the effort. So this is a lot easier to turn it this way, and you are spinning faster, which electric motors absolutely love. The more they spin, the better it is. Typically what works best if you spin them like crazy. And that's going to be the third approach, which is a friction drive. A friction drive drives the outer perimeter of the wheel. In this case, you could see it here. This is one of the kits that I'm going to be reviewing in this video. You can see that this teeny tiny wheel is probably going to have to spin dozens of times before it turns this big wheel once. So the difference between the effort of turning it here as opposed to turning it up here is enormous. And you can feel it if you just put a couple of fingers in here, try to turn the wheel and then try to stop it. It's very easy to do. I would not say the same about the hub drive solution. So this is the hub motor drive. This is the crank drive or center drive, as it is also often called, because the crank is typically in the center. And this is a friction drive. And there are many varieties of friction drive, and I will get to that in a moment. So let's start with the first kit that's recommended. It is a center drive kit. None of these kits are cheap, but the quality is there. So here you are looking at between $1,500 to $2,000 per kit with a battery included. And for the $2,000 kit, you are getting 2 batteries. They are plug and play. Everything is very easy. The small one I don't recommend because it's a very short distance thing. The motors in each one of these kits is 250 watts. It's the Pendix kit. 250 watts is not a lot if you apply it at the hub, but if you are applying it at the crank, you'll notice that the difference is massive. Basically, the reason for the difference is that you are powering the crank and not the hub. It's a very well designed and neat little kit, even though it does look somewhat off in many applications, and I will show you how people have applied it. I also like the fact that this company allows easy access to buy extra batteries. If you want more batteries, they are not cheap, but they are very high quality. Most of this stuff is made in Germany. It's good quality, but obviously it's going to cost you some money to get it. Very high quality, well designed, easy plug-in replacement. There is a reason why they have won a number of awards for this. And I'll show you how it is installed. This is actually not replacing the crank. This is replacing the crank on the right side. And on the left side, there is the motor. Do you have to remove the bottom bracket? It doesn't seem so. I'm not sure if you have to remove it or not. You definitely have to remove the crank arms to do this installation. Definitely remove the chain and put the chain back. Can you do this with a belt drive? Can you install a belt drive onto this base? The answer is yes. Amazingly enough, you can install even a belt drive on this kit. Unfortunately, the negatives with the kit are that number one, the speed is very restricted. You can only do 15 miles an hour. This is the European spec. I wish they sold something for the US and maybe something that is not speed restricted. But mostly this kit is for people who are worried about uphills and climbing, because a center drive is possibly the torquiest installation that you can have. Here is the torque. It is 65 Newton meters, which makes it just about the torquiest of all the kits reviewed here. This is 250 watt, but at 48 volt. Keep in mind, the Brompton's 250 watt motor is at 36 volt. So you're improving performance by roughly 25%, maybe even 30% by upgrading for 48 volts, which is an extra 12 volts, exactly 33% more than what the Brompton would give you. Amazingly enough, the charging time is very short, which makes me wonder as to what the charger is like. My charger is fairly quick. It takes me 4 hours to charge up a 13.5 ampere hour battery, but it is really noisy. High voltage chargers run hot, and so they are typically equipped with a noisy fan as well. The range looks very, very nice. They are claiming that you could get it up to maybe 80 miles. The nice thing about this approach is also that this center drive system and all of them do not place a motor brake on the wheel because they are not connected to the wheel. So you pedal when you feel like pedaling, but if you don't feel like pedaling, you're taking it downhill. There's absolutely no motor brake at all. Unfortunately, a center drive cannot have brake regeneration. Electronic braking, which is such a gift with the hub motor drives, is not available for any of the center drive systems. I'm going to show you some installations that have been done. This is an installation from Kinetics, the shop from Scotland, if you're not familiar with it. It is a pretty nice installation, but it is kind of weird that you still have your crank on the right side. It looks like you are adding a second crank on the left side. So it looks a little bit off for me. Also, this placement of the battery is just not working for me, but I think you could get a top tube bag for the Brompton and put the battery inside, and then it would actually look really tasteful. You could also get a bag for the rear rack and put it there, or you can hang a bag from the saddle. that would work as well. So just sticking it on top of the frame is not attractive, but you can easily hide this thing in a bag. There might be some bikes for which it works. This top configuration, putting it into a top bag, probably the easiest way to fold the bike. But the amazing thing is that the Brompton still maintains its extremely compact fold with this kit installed. So this kit is not cheap. Nothing on this channel that I recommend is cheap, but you get what you paid for. Can you install it on the Birdie? Of course, it has been installed. And I must say this kind of battery placement is much more tasteful. It is not disruptive at all. You don't even need to put it into a bag. And even the fold is going to work so long that you don't try to lower the seat. Very nice installation. Congratulations to whoever did it. And here is a remarkable Alex Moulton installation. It is pretty neat, even though it looks kind of ugly with the way the battery was installed. I guess what I would do would be to attach a rear rack, put a bag on it, and put the battery into that. Or even in the front, you could put like a top tube bag or something. It would look a lot better than this. The company sells you the equipment, not the taste required for an elegant installation. The kit can be installed on all of these three bikes and pretty much on any bike you like. The next kit I'm going to review is the Velogical kit. The name of this kit has been changed over the years. It even says Velospeeder. So is it Velogical or is it Velospeeder? This is an awful website, but I'm providing links below to all of these websites in case you want to check them out. Most of the friction drives I'm not too crazy about. I understand they are very convenient because you can just pop it on the bike or pop it off, but most of them drives the bicycle directly by touching the tire, which is dirty, it's slippery, it's unreliable, and you cannot use it with a mud guard. All of those problems are solved by this amazing engineering out of Germany again. The Velospeeder has two motors, not just one. And each motor has 500 watts of power, which combine to an incredible 1000 watt at the rim. I mean, that is amazing. 1000 watts. The best of them can produce 60 Newton meters of torque, which is not far behind the other motor. But just to give you an idea, this torquey motor is going to give you 65 with only 250 watts. Whereas this Velogical or Velospeeder, call it what you will, needs 1000 watts to produce that much torque. In fact, 10% less torque at the rim. So that just gives you an idea of what incredible torque you are getting and how efficiently you are getting it if you are opting for a center drive installation. So it's especially great for climbing. If you're looking for scenic riding, doing a lot of uphills, or if you live in San Francisco or a place like that, then I would say go with the Pendix kit. It's a really great kit for climbing and very energy efficient as well. Now, the big deal about this Velogical kit is, unfortunately, you once again do not have brake regeneration. It is technically possible, because if you install this sensor to sense braking, you just connect the brake to the controller. You could force these little motors to try to roll backwards or try to block the movement of the rim forward. So you could have some braking action, but this kit does not include that. Here are the prices. Prices are very similar to what we have seen before, maybe a little bit cheaper. To get a motor, a pair of motors with the controller, the battery included, up to what you see here, about the 40-mile range, is going to cost you about $1,500 US. It's not two batteries, so you cannot compare it to the most expensive Pendix kits. It's basically the same price as the mid-range Pendix kit. Probably the same range, same price, same range. Again, the quality is good quality. This is a German product. And I'm showing you an installation on Brompton. And here you can see the plus of this product. You can't even see that this thing has an electric propulsion system. That's practically invisible as an e-bike. Here is where the motors are located. And you can put the tiny battery into a top bag, which is what I would have done with the Pendix kit as well. It's a very neat installation. This is some dynamo that is running with the light, so it looks like he has a little motor here. If you're not running a dynamo, even if you do, nobody's going to be able to tell that you have an electric support. and surprisingly powerful. You are getting 1,000 watts at the rim. Of course, unlike with either the center drive or with the hub drive, you have a very slippery connection. And the website states that the rings that are located around the motor, these rings that actually touch the rim and push it, have to be replaced every few thousand miles. I think that they call it the friction ring, and you replace it every 4,000 to 6,000 miles, which means probably every year. And it definitely means a little bit of extra money for the company. But this kit is sensational, and I don't see a computer. Maybe there is some little bit over here, but whatever controller and computer they are using they are very, very compact. So this is a very subtle kit, the most subtle of all of these kits, and to be honest, also the most powerful. Because of micro slipping as you accelerate, probably it's not gonna accelerate as well as the Pendix. It doesn't have the same torque either. Once you are at speed, it probably can propel you at a pretty good speed. Unfortunately, there is a speed limiter, I believe. I don't remember where I saw it. There are some nice installations here. You just can't make this up. You can fold it. It's not in the way. Nobody can tell that there is a kit on this bike. I would not be able to tell. I see that this is probably the controller. It's also very small and compact and positioned in a very subtle way. Wow. It is just remarkable. And if you have a Brompton, they already have a kit or a configuration just for the Brompton. But the Brompton is not the only one that has installed it. Here is an installation on the turn. It's a little thicker, a triangle that you have here. And it seems like they have a different attachment for it. I don't know if they have an attachment for the Birdie, because the Birdie has a really thick dropout. It does not have a triangle. It has a rear dropout. But I'm sure there is a workaround even if you have a Birdie. And check this out. Here is a Moulton installation. This is a very rare picture, so I apologize for the blurriness of it. But look, the batteries are really small. So this is a very energy efficient kit. The batteries are smaller than either the Pendix or the Green that I'm going to get to in the next segment of the video. Pretty decent installation. Now they made a custom-made aluminum loop here. It's not installed directly on the triangle. I'm not sure why. I would have tried to install it here. I'm not sure why. Maybe the brake is in the way. That's possible. So some kind of an adapter would be needed anyway. But nobody can tell that this bike has a kit on it. That's for sure. So that's really, really remarkable. And finally, of course, I'm going to get to my kit. If you read my book, you know that I installed the green kit. You can go to my shop links below and go to my book. It's on a deep discount right now. If you haven't downloaded it, you may want to grab it. This is what the green kit looks like on my bike. It's a heavy 8-pound hub motor. Probably the biggest negative about it is the weight, because 8 pounds is a lot. When you look at that Velo kit, that's probably going to be a fraction of that with those tiny motors. I have a sensor, which was an easy clip-on. There's a controller here, and there is a fairly bulky computer up here. The battery is in the bag. I'm going to look at two versions of this kit on Green. There is a link below. They call themselves Green, but the URL is ebikes.ca. So this is what my kit looks like. It's very straightforward. You put the wheel into the fork, you install the controller, you install the computer on the handlebar, and there is a sensor and a variety of extremities if you want the thumb throttle or whatever else you want, electronic braking. All of that easily attaches directly into the computer. This is an easy home install, but heavy. The big benefit is that you have electronic braking, and with a motor this powerful, that electronic braking is massive. I mean, I have taken this bike down at least 20-degree elevation downhill just with the electronic brake. Now that I've uninstalled it and I'm running the bike as purely human powered, it's really awful because the friction brakes, the caliper brakes that come with the Brompton are a joke compared to the power of this motor. The price. What is the price for a kit like that? Keep in mind that this 720 is just the electronic component. You have to get a battery. So you're probably going to be about up to $1,100-$1,200. To be honest, this kit, even with a really good battery, would cost a little bit less than any of the others. So I've added a kind of a cheap 36-volt battery, and the price went up to only $1,000. We are still $500 below to what we just saw. If I had a 48-volt battery, then we're gonna go to $1,200. Still cheaper than the other one. You have to get a charger. So slowly we are edging up to that same $1,500 price point. And the prices are going up compared to when I bought mine, because I paid $50 for it. And it's probably an even more powerful charger than this one. So it's about the same. Basically, if you want to have a good quality kit, figure about $1,500 for it, with everything included, plus delivery, any taxes, tariffs that might be involved. Now, there is a new version of this kit, and this is a bit controversial. The price is about the same, but the big, bulky, ugly, kind of ugly computer that they had, this computer you see here that is only a black and white screen, has been upgraded to this colorful, much nicer screen, and I would love to have it, except the price of doing it is a far more complex installation, because now you have the same controller, but instead of 2 wires, you have at least 5 wires coming out of it, and you have this weird switchboard, which is, to me, a second computer that connects to the display. So it has become a lot more complex. Yes, you have a better display, a nicer display, but a lot more wires running absolutely all over the place. And I'm not sure if I like it. I would not want so many wires on mine, so I'm definitely not upgrading for this kit. So you don't have a big bulky box that would have installed up here, but now you have this super harness. It's kind of a second computer, really. It has its own motherboard. It does other calculations and things. I'm not sure if the problem has been solved. Yes, you can buy a variety of top computers. This is probably the smallest one you can get. And it's very compact, except that you have a ton of wires. This is an adjuster knob that you can program to adjust anything, the wattage, the brake regeneration. So it's a very powerful kit, no question about it. And it's not going to go over typical $1,500 price tag once you buy the battery and everything. But it is just too complex for my taste. So it's up to you which one you want to install. And they are only currently selling 36-volt batteries for it. If you go to a different shop, you can get a 48-volt battery, which is what I would do. So this is your third option. I think this is the most powerful one. I would not want to relinquish the regenerative braking, because the Brompton braking out of the shop, if you have the grip brakes, is just so woefully inadequate. I probably would not want to go with that, unless you use your bike as a very light configuration for sports and exercise, or very short range commute. For anything more taxing than that, I would prefer this kit. But the other kits are definitely worth looking at also. Here is a remarkable installation of a center drive kit, which you could configure with the green kit. And this is a video I have done a while ago. I'm going to put a link below and you can check it out. I think it's a beautiful restoration of a classic Moulton. The hub width is probably standard, so you would get a different motor, not as big a diameter as with the Brompton kit, but you can contact Green and they will communicate with you and set you up with a configuration that works for the bikes you have. Otherwise, everything is the same. You have a battery that they put here. I think it's very tasteful, and also low center of gravity, which I do like a lot. And they will just have to give you some sort of a computer attachment, so you can put your computer up here. And the controller would have to be installed somewhere, maybe here, maybe here. It's not a big deal. So you can install a green kit on practically anything. This was the old Birdie installation. This was a Bionics, and you can do the same thing with the green. You can put a motor in here. The Bionics had everything squashed into the motor itself, which is not a very reliable way of doing it. With the green, you would have a wire coming out on the other end in the center, and you would just attach the controller and the computer somehow. You need to communicate with them if you have a special case scenario. So these are all of the kits, and let me know what you think below. Let me know if you have installed anything. If you have any pictures, I would welcome those as well. In the final segment, I want to say a few words about the shop. If you click over to my Amazon storefront, I've added a few new items, but the big news is this Spread Shop storefront that I purchased one of their hats, one of the baseball caps. And this is just, I keep on getting amazed at what they have because you can buy so many things. You have these t-shirts and hoodies as well. I bought this cap. The white one would have been the best one to go with, but I ended up getting the blue one because that would go better with my eye color. I silly did not remember the fact that I always wear goggles or sunglasses, so my eye color is irrelevant. I would look best if my eyes are not showing, then the illustration would look best on a white background. It's amazing that you could edit this, so I came up with my own arrangement and I edited it. What they stick on it, these illustrations are actually very, very sharp. So here you have 3 bikes. What I did was, you can go over to the designs, and I basically removed this and I put in a new design. I mean, the designs that are available. So I put in the birdybike and went back to design and put on the moulton as well. So my hat looks something like this. And that's how you basically customize the design I'm offering in the shop. And that's what I did, but on a blue background. It really looks pretty good even on the blue background. What about black? Doesn't look bad on the black either. The white one looks very sharp. All you see are the bikes. The blue one is not bad. So this is all I wanted to say, and let me know what your questions are, and I'll see you in the next video.
I'll be back.